Those of us who live in the Northeast suffered a tremendous storm in the last few weeks. Hurricane Sandy swept through, leaving unfortunate deaths and devastations in New Jersey, New York. I know for us at the Forward, the building that we work in was badly flooded. We haven't been able to enter it to work, and we may not get back there for weeks, maybe even months. Sarah, on the Sisterhood blog, you've been writing about the bigger consequences of a storm like this. Tell us what you've been thinking.
Well, I think the fact that it happened in the Northeast, where politics and media are centered, has brought a couple of big issues to a lot of people's attention that maybe were on the back burner, and one of those obviously is global warming. And is this our new reality? Are we going to be dealing with these superstorms once a year, frequently, all the time? People living in low-lying areas have to reconsider where they live. But the even bigger issue that kind of goes hand in hand with global warming is, of course, who always suffers the most during these catastrophes and these awful weather incidents. In Katrina, we saw that it was, there was a real division between poor residents of New Orleans, and we're seeing it happen again in New York. There are these high-rise projects and housing complexes in the Rockaways and Coney Island, where elderly and poor residents are trapped without power, without food, without blankets. I went out to Coney Island this weekend, and I know a lot of Jewish organizations and volunteers have been out just shuttling blankets up and down, and it's just really shocking to see not just what happened after the storm, but what people were lacking before the storm to begin with, and how New York City really is a very, very divided city. And it wasn't just the division between those who had power and those who didn't, but really a division between who had somewhere to go and something to do after the storm and those who didn't.
And a lot of these people are afraid to leave their homes, however devastated they may be, because of looting. Because a lot of people experienced in Irene, in those areas, their looting went on, and Irene was not nearly as devastating, but the fact remains that when you have so little and you've been able to gather what few possessions you have, you're very reluctant to go somewhere.
I do think it's fair to say that it's not just poor people who've been badly affected by this storm. I mean, we have a reporter on our staff who lives in a modest house in New Jersey and hasn't had power for a couple of weeks, has two little kids, has had to relocate. I think, though, to your point, it's the idea of having options that makes the distinction here.
Exactly.